All right. Looks like we're back. Welcome back to the Upside Down Church, or welcome to the Upside Down Church. If you're first time to the channel. Been gone for a while. You know, me and the partner, we had a daughter. Been dealing with. She's about 14 months old, so that kind of explains my absence over the last little while. That, and I've been procrastinating getting back to this. I've been meaning to get back on here. But hopefully, I'll be back regularly going forward. I'm gonna shoot for maybe a every other week schedule, something like that. We'll see. Anyways, why we're here today, we're gonna be doing the metal tag. 2025 version of the metal tag brought to us by Heavy Metallurgy. Been great seeing all the metal tag videos out there. Before we jump into the questions, playing in the background, I've got Velour with Artifacts. Cool kind of summoning style black metal. Can't remember. This is where this falls in their catalog. Off the top of my head, I just grabbed it off the shelf. But yeah, that's Velour. Okay, we'll jump right in. Name a release you're eagerly anticipating in 2025. Okay. As it's already the 9th of March, a lot of stuff has already came out. Was anticipating the Unrequited album, Hard Carry for the Sky, Hangman's Chair, what was the Halo Effect. Those ones were all eagerly anticipated. Been pleased with how all 4 of those albums turned out so far this year. But one that that hasn't been out yet, hasn't been announced yet. Sojourner has hinted at the possibility of a new album this year. There's been some turmoil in the band since the album after this one. This is The Shadowed Road, their best album to this point. Second in their discography, but if they release something like this, I will be over the moon. This album is fantastic, so we get an album that comes close to the Shadowed Road from Sojourner this year. That'll be a good year. Okay. Show the 25th item. LP or CD, whatever. I chose LP in collection. I chose LP mainly because I like LP better. It's my preferred medium. But also, watching these, almost every video, their 25th item is a band that starts with A. So, might be getting a little tired of all the A bands, but I do my records alphabetically, but my first section on my shelf is actually all of my bootlegs. And it just so happened that the end of my bootlegs, the last album is number 25. And that's a newer one for me. It's The Shadow Throne by Satyricon. All-time great black metal album here. The first 2 just absolute classics for me. But yeah, I had to pick up the bootleg because it's got the OG artwork. Presentation-wise, it's, from all accounts, it's pretty spot on between the back and the inserts. I don't know if the OG was glossy. I don't know. It seems like they wouldn't have been doing glossy metals, especially for black metal albums back then. But yeah, it's Shadow Throne. It's Satyricon.
Number 3, overdue. Name an older band that you checked out for the first time in 2024. 2024, I was diving hard into metalcore, discovering all sorts of bands I missed out on in the past. I was a bit into metalcore back in my early days, but I wasn't really searching out metal in the underground and that kind of stuff like I am now. I was familiar with the mainstream shit. A couple bands that I have been really into over the years, Caliban and Heaven Shall Burn from the German scene. I was scrolling Bandcamp one day, looking at their new releases under the metalcore tag, and a band popped up, Neera. They had a new album out. I'd never heard of them before. Artwork grabbed me right away. Checked out the album. I was like, oh, this new band is killer. It sounds like Heaven Shall Burn. Dug into the band, and it was actually like their 8th or 9th album. They originated back around the same times as Heaven Shall Burn and Caliban. So I pulled out Let the Tempest Come. I think this was I think it came out in 2006. This is their second album. Great thrashy German metalcore. Their first 3 albums are fantastic. New ones, fantastic as well. I've got them all, but I haven't dug into that middle period yet. I've sampled a little bit of it, and it's still good, but I think those first 3 are where it's at. The new one's really good as well. Okay. Feeding the Monkey. How do you purchase most of your music? Jack of all trades, really. Over this past year, I haven't been able to get to the record store as much as in the past, but I've still gone there a little bit. Do a bit of Bandcamp, a bit of online shops. It's probably the majority of my stuff is probably from various online distros, not really specific ones, but a couple. There's not like set ones that I go to, like 2, 3, or 4 that I'm just ordering from those. A couple though that pop to mind are Nuclear War Now, Meteor Gym, Metal Curations is pretty good for black metal. Yeah. Okay, moving along. Enigma. Show a heavy metal album that musically is really hard to place in heavy metal in a subgenre. Okay. So I went with Vessel of Iniquity, Void of Infinite Horror. I believe this album was my introduction to the Sentient Ruin label, which, if you guys know that label, they put out all sorts of chaotic, dark, apocalyptic type shit. A lot of it falls into the war metal realm, black metal, there's been some good death metal albums, but yeah, this is, as I said, Vessel of Iniquity. It's a one-man project. I think he's in Great Britain, but anyways, what this is what it probably most closely resembles is war metal, but on top of that, he's thrown in big noise element into it and some industrial tinges. What it sounds like is, you're in the nuclear holocaust, the apocalypse, and you're stuck in a machine shop or an auto plant, and all the machinery is just malfunctioning, going off at 1,000 miles an hour as the place is just collapsing around you. So yeah, it's a really cool album. Okay. Eden Crow, talk about an album. Where did I put this one yesterday? Talk about an album you used to hate, but after years it finally clicked. Now you can't get enough of it. I had a hard time coming up with something like this because I don't revisit a lot of stuff I don't like, especially after years. So I went with something that came out last year that on first listen, hated it, but later in the year I came back to it and fell in love with it. That is Knocked Loose, You Won't Go Before You're Supposed to. As I said, I was getting into metalcore a lot this year. Knocked Loose is probably the hottest name in the genre right now. So naturally I went and checked it out. They had a new album, checked it out, and listened to it once, and was not my cup of tea. That the vocals on this instantly turned me off. Never came back to it after that. It's like, this is what all the fucking new kids are listening to. That's the newer metalcore is what I was thinking. Anyways, later in the year they ended up going on Jimmy Kimmel, one of the late night shows, Jimmy Fallon, something, one of those shows, but kind of caused some headlines, made some headlines with that. I was like, let's go see what all this commotion is about. I went and watched that clip, and the vocals no longer an issue. It just instantly clicked. Next day, I went and checked out the whole album, and just fucking loved it. Super heavy, blast beat driven, super blasty metalcore from Knocked Loose. Okay. Album number 7, album that I blind bought. Okay. This is Ahulabrum with Strange Lights Portend Their Presence. Also called the Bigfoot Noise EP. And that cover is what got me to buy this sucker for anything with a Sasquatch on it. Which I'll just show my beer right now. If that glare will stop. You can pick that up. There's a Bigfoot in the trees right there. It's called Timber Giant Pale Ale. Yeah. Sucker for anything Sasquatch. So picked this up. I think this was from Metal Curations. Saw it, they had a sale going, saw this in their shop. I was like, yeah, Bigfoot, I'll snag that. And what this is noisy, slightly ambient, dark ambient black metal with a ton of sound samples, field recordings of reported Bigfoot encounters. Whether you believe them to be real or not is up to the listener. Yeah, super cool album. Pretty dark listen. It's not one I frequent, but yeah, it's cool. Okay. Collector Scum, show a title that you own more than one pressing of on the same format. Okay. This, going with an all-time great black metal album, Panopticon's Kentucky. My favorite of the Panopticon catalog. U.S. atmospheric black metal, mixing in tinges of, especially on this one, there's tons of bluegrass on this and Americana. But here we have the Digipack Bindrune Nordvis release from, I think it's 2017. And then here we have one of the, can't remember if it's an OG pressing or if it's like a second press on Pagan Flames on CD. Stumbled on this one in the local record store a few years ago and snagged that instantly for a pretty reasonable price. But not only do I have the 2 CDs, Here we have the Bindrune reissue from, I think it was last year, the anniversary reissue. Really nice work on this one by Marty and Austin. And then we also have, I think this is a 2017 press on Bindrune. On green. Yeah, Kentucky is a masterpiece of an album. Okay. Okay, show off a Grail that you acquired in 2024. I pulled 3 different types of Grail. First one was something I wasn't aware of until that year. As I said, I was getting into quite a bit of metalcore, older metalcore last year. A band whose name I saw a lot over the years was Poison the Well, but I never dug into them. I never checked them out because I just assumed they were one of those lame mallcore verb the noun bands. But turns out I was really fucking missing out, and checked out Opposite of December. Instantly fell in love with that album. You know, went to look for a copy, and they are ridiculously priced. Those older pressings, they were all in the triple digits on the price. I was like, I can't pay that for it. Hopefully, I'll one day find it in the wild. But a few months later, Poison the Well have been playing some live. They've been playing some live shows. Actually, they'd fall into the anticipated album category because they should be putting out a new album this year. They haven't announced it or anything, but they released a single, and they're doing a tour, so hopefully that means an album. But anyways, they announced this box set a few months after I discovered them. This has got pretty much all the material. It's got the full lengths as well as B-sides and rarities disc in here. Super cool box set. It sold out in less than a day, so I was glad to get my hands on that. Next kind of Grail that I acquired, it's not a official pressing, so it's a bootleg, but it's Judas Iscariot, Heaven in Flames. My favorite Judas Iscariot album. They've been bootlegging all of the stuff. I've been picking up as much as I can. I'm only missing one right now. Can't remember. I'm blanking on the name of it. But it's one of the other better Judas Iscariot albums. So hopefully I'll be able to get my hands on that one. But yeah, Heaven in Flames, US black metal, classic. And then this one fully qualifies as a Grail. I think it's an original pressing of Helheim's Jormungand. It's either first or second, but these things haven't been pressed in ages. Mid-90s, 95, 96, black metal from Norway, Norwegian black metal, incorporating Viking and folk metal and Viking and folk into their black metal. If you haven't heard this, just be aware it is not it's not an album without flaws, and the vocals are, you're either gonna love them or hate them. They can be a bit jarring on first listen, but yeah, to me, this is probably a top 10 black metal album, despite its flaws. Stellar stuff. I was glad to find a copy of that for a reasonable price this year. Okay. Boomerang album, no matter how many times you purge it from your collection, another copy returns to you. So I don't purge tons, and I haven't had the fortune or misfortune of having anything I have purged return back to me. But early in my becoming a dedicated collector, I was buying a lot of grab bags, and in retrospect, I should not have bought nearly as many. But so one of the things that happened doing that is I tended to get a lot of, there was a handful of releases that I had numerous copies of. And I've been able to toss those into BCLT packages, a lot of them. But one that I still have quite a few copies, I have 3 copies of this. It's Lycanthropy, Dead Silence, and I could not tell you one thing about this. Maybe listened to it once when I got it, and then never returned to it. I assume it's black metal. It was put out by Metallic Media. So there's that one, and if anybody wants one of my other 2 steel sealed copies, if you're in the US, hit me up. It's yours free of charge. Okay. Reunion. Name an artist that you had lost track of over time but reconnected with in 24. Okay. Okay, this one it's not a metal artist. For this question, we're going with a pop punk album, kind of an acoustic pop punk album called Clouded by This Wildlife. So, a little story time here. I got married when I was 20, 2010. That's when I got married. Or I think maybe I turned 21 at that point. Yeah, 21. And got divorced in 2017. Should have gotten divorced probably. Should have never got married. But I shouldn't have lasted 7 years in that marriage. So that's where this comes in. There are some songs that just absolutely speak, that they absolutely spoke to me back then. And I don't know if I really internalized how much the songs were affecting me then, and how much I was receiving the messages of those songs. And, after I got divorced and stuff, after a while, I lost touch of this album and saw it in a distro this year. It was like, oh yeah, I remember that. It was real cheap. It was during a sale. It's like, I'll grab that for that. Got this, returned to it, and I was like, oh, holy shit. These songs were just nailing me back then. I completely, I think, part of that is the brain kind of just blacking out those unhappy memories and whatnot that they were associated with. But yeah, I was happy to return to this, and probably an all-time favorite album, an all-time most important album. That's This Wildlife with Clouded. Okay. Next up, Upstart. Name a new band whose debut really impressed you. Didn't have to come out in 2024. So I think this one came out in 23, but the vinyl got pressed in 24. Originally was just a small, I think, cassette run. I never heard of them at the time, but Sentient Ruin put this out last year. French band Maudissez. Here it is for you. I don't know if my pronunciation is correct, but that's how I say it. Maudissez. It's self-titled album. What this is think Primitive Man, but with a lot more black metal influence to it, and it has anti-Catholic theme running throughout the entire album. It's kind of the theme. That's the theme of the album. So yeah, that's Maudissez. It's like Primitive Man, but on steroids to me. This is one of the few things, maybe the only thing I've heard that just crushes harder than Primitive Man. Okay. Influencer. Show a band release that you bought in 24 as a direct result of watching someone's YouTube channel. Okay, this one I got from watching Future Ruin stream. Some of you might know Alaskan Bird Wanderer, Tyler. He frequents many streams, especially he's always on with the hiking metal guys on Future Ruins. But they were doing a stream, I don't remember which stream it was, but he brought up that he had recently acquired a Grail, and that Grail, he's a CD guy. He'd gotten a CD of Cenotaph, Monte Verita. Called it, I think he called it one of, if not his all-time favorite French black metal album. So I was like, oh shit, I gotta check this out. Early this year, I was really into French black metal, just digging into that. And so with that taste still in my mouth, I was like, yeah, let's go and check this out. And yeah, album did not disappoint. Great album. I was lucky enough that Nuclear War Now had recently done a vinyl reissue of that, and they still had copies. And then one more influencer album, I got The Summoning by Ritual. In the prior years, Metal Tag, Brain Smasher Ben had brought this band up. And, response to one of the questions. I don't remember what the question was, but yeah, great US black metal. I think they're from California, from the mid-90s. Just a stellar album by Ritual. Their early stuff, great. Later stuff, don't bother with it. I think this is the stopping point for Ritual. But it's definitely a album to check out. Okay. Number 15, don't judge a book by its cover. Show a great album with bad cover art. Bestial Summoning, The Dark War Has Begun. Let's see if I can get that on there without the glare. Yeah. Early 90s black metal, I think from the Netherlands. That Angel is just a piece of work. Yeah, what you get here is trying to think of the right word to describe it. These guys are not professional musicians, we'll say that, but what you get is a very spirited black metal album from that era. Still tinges of first wave in there. Yeah, it's definitely, despite the artwork, an album worth checking out. Okay. In the opposite direction, we're going with Rembrandt. Show an album whose cover art was created by one of your favorite artists. Okay. This artwork was done by Tom Roberts. Not a known name in the metal industry, as he has only done 3 album covers. And yeah, That's the flag up there. But yeah, this not only one of my all-time favorite album covers, this is my all-time favorite album. It is Iapetus, The Body Cosmic. Just fantastic, and that artwork is a real spectacle. Just brilliant. I think there's some inner art. I'll show that real quick. Yeah. So as I mentioned, he's only done 3 album metal. I don't know if I mentioned that he'd only done 3, but he's not a well-known name in the industry. I only have one of the other. He's done 3 metal albums. Here's one of the only other one I have. It's Maudissez with Forever. Another cool album cover. But where he's really been making his name is in artwork for literature. And my partner is a big reader, a big book collector. So I pulled out a couple of books that I bought for her, and I bought these because she loves fantasy, and I know they're fantasy books, but I bought them mostly because of the artist. The artwork for this is God Killer by Hannah Kaner. Sorry, we're not getting a great shot of that with the glare. And then bought like I think 4 or 5 books with his art, but I only told 2 of them. Then there's the book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. Okay, so yeah, that is Rembrandt. Okay, wrapping up. Got 4 more questions. Name an album that you would like to see reissued on vinyl or CD. Okay. Obviously, I have the CD here, so I would like the vinyl issue of The Jester Race by In Flames. Should be happening this year. They've been reissuing the entire catalog. This, I think Coracle and Clayman are the only ones that they have not reissued yet. They've been doing batches of 3 or 4 at a time, so should be coming this year. One that's no idea if it's in the works or not. Sky Dancer by Dark Tranquility. I would love to get my hands on a vinyl press of this, so hopefully they are going to repress it in the near future. Name an album from a genre that you typically do not listen to very much. This might surprise some. Cryptopsy, None So Vile. As far as death metal goes, don't listen to a ton of it. I listen to a lot of mellow death doom, but as far as like straightforward and brutal death, don't listen to much. I have a handful of the classics in the collection, a handful of others that I've randomly checked out and liked, but I do not frequently listen to it. And when I am in the mood, I frequently just pull out None So Vile, probably my favorite death metal album of all time. But I'm no expert on the genre. Okay. What band do you hope to see live in 2025? By Fire and Sword. This is their newest album, Glory. The Heavy Metallurgy Album Club recently did a episode on this one. Great stuff. Go check it out if you haven't. But yeah, these guys are from Idaho. I'm in Utah, so if they do tour, good chance that they will be coming through. I know they've toured in the past, but So I'm sure there's a tour in the near future, sometime in the next few years. But I'm hoping for this year. I would love to catch him live. I've caught Wheel and Woe live, and that's a band that features a few of those guys. Completely different style, but yeah, they were great live. Okay, wrapping it up. In closing, tell your viewers about 2 new to you YouTube channels you discovered in 2024, or just shout out to. First one's going to be a new one to me. It's going to be Sean the Beast, fine gentleman from over in the UK. Don't know how long he's been doing it, but I know I came across his channel last year and really enjoy his personality and his approach to his videos. Does a great job. My second shout out is going to be for primarily a review channel, Beaver Mosh. She, as I said, does reviews, but it's primarily on more underground albums than you get from your typical review channels. She doesn't really hit those mainstream, those big name releases like the big shots of the review industry get. I really enjoy her approach to her reviews. She does a fantastic job, so she deserves a much larger following than she has. That's Beaver Mosh. Check her out. Anyways, that's the metal tag for 2025. Thanks anybody who happens upon this and watches it. Should be back shortly with another video. I plan on doing my favorites of 2024. I know it's a bit late, but I want to get that out there. But anyways, take care of yourselves.